Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. Roughly 2 years ago, we were at a family gathering. Somewhere in the many conversations, brother-in-law started talking about starting a business. This piqued my interest as I know brother-in-law doesn't follow through with anything, but he sounds excited. So I joined the conversation, and it turns out brother-in-law wants to open a laundromat and has done some amazing and detailed research into the matter. He knows how much it'll cost to start the business, how long it'll take to turn a profit, how much revenue he can expect, the cities and states regulations, and the tax obligations. In short, he did all the legwork it takes to go to a bank to ask for a loan. For once, I was actually interested in what brother-in-law was saying, but I wasn't interested in his business plan as I had a great job at the time. Months afterwards, the company I worked for started to receive less work orders and my great job was on shaky grounds. I updated my resume and started looking for another job. Then I remembered brother-in-law's laundromat plan and started looking into it. To make a long story short, I sold much of my stuff, pooled all of my money together, and maxed out my credit card to open a laundromat in my city. I'm making almost as much money now as I did at my great job, and my earnings are projected to keep on rising. In fact, I'm in the process of opening a second location, and if it performs well, I'll open a third. Currently, I flew home for the 4th of July week, and that's where things hit the fan. My sister and brother-in-law started making passive-aggressive comments about my business, and when they found out about the second location, their comments turned fully aggressive. They accused me of stealing brother-in-law's business plan and profiting off his legwork. I argued we live 7 hours from each other and there's nothing stopping them from opening the same business. They argued I would never have done it until brother-in-law gave me all of the financial details, which in truth is correct. Never in a million years would I have thought I would open a laundromat. However, I didn't actually use his numbers as I didn't need a loan from the bank. There's a huge fight between us right now, and they demand I bring brother-in-law into my business. My parents think I should because it was his idea and it'll keep the peace in the family. I don't think I should since he came up with the idea, but I did all of the necessary work to make it actually happen. What do you think? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead for opening a business, but the bonehead for calling it a laundromat instead of a laundromat. Not the bonehead. He did research. He spoke openly about what a good idea it was. You did starting a business with your own money, one which would in no way compete with brother-in-law doing the same wherever he wanted. If he considered his brilliant and public domain research so valuable, maybe he should have made everyone sign an NDA and do not compete contract. Then you could have watched him be laughed out of court trying to enforce it. Isn't there a TikTok guy who effectively has a whole channel detailing their laundromat business? Not the bonehead. You're 7 hours apart. This is pure petulance. Not the bonehead. At first, I thought you opened one up in the same area, but since you all don't live near one another, this just seems like a good business opportunity to jump on, and it's worked for you. It's not like he came up with the laundromat concept. He just had an idea to open one. And it sounds like he still hasn't gone through with it, and you're looking to open a third. Sounds like jealousy. Not the bonehead. You snooze, you lose, but all is not lost. He can still do it. By the way, if he didn't want to share his information on it, no one was twisting his arm. He divulged everything on his own free will. He doesn't own the idea anyway. He didn't have a patent on it. Another thing, it's called a laundromat. So, I'm adopted and my bio sister wasn't. I got to meet my birth mom, however, she sadly passed away 10 years ago. We were both given lockets from one of her close friends, which had a photo and lock of my birth mom's hair. I've kept mine safe, as it's the only thing I have to remember her by. Bio sister chose to put her locket in her grandmother's coffin when she passed away, as she said she would want it to be with her. Fast forward to this weekend, and my bio sis messages me out of the blue. We're not close, and other than Merry Christmas, we don't keep in touch. She proceeds to say that her daughter was upset that she didn't receive a locket 10 years ago, and as it's now her 30th birthday, my bio sis wants me to give her my locket so that she can surprise her daughter on her 30th. Am I the bonehead for not wanting to do this? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. If she wants it that bad, she knows where to find hers. Not the bonehead, and not your problem. If it's that valuable to you, don't give it up. OP replied, thanks. Hate how she worded the message to me. She's trying to guilt trip me. Not the bonehead at all. What on earth makes your bio sis think she's entitled to your treasured locket when she gave hers away? OP replied, "Oh, she's been like that for the 20 years I've known her. She just expects everyone to run around after her. She hasn't had a job in the 20 years I've known her and expected and got a lovely new home courtesy of the taxpayer. Proper annoyed me that she just expects me to give up the only thing I have of my mom's. Then made out I'm a bad person for not wanting to part with it. Not the bonehead, what the hell, that's your heirloom. If she wants hers back, she had better start digging." OP said, "That's exactly what I thought. Not the bonehead. She should have thought ahead when she put hers into the coffin." OP said, "At the time I did ask her several times if she was sure she wanted to do that. Guess she just thought she would take mine." I really don't know if I'm in the wrong or not, so here it goes. My wife, 26 female, and I, 30 female, have been married for a year now. She's overall a sweetheart and a very kind person. So kind, she has a hard time saying no when someone asks her for something, including her time. She's only comfortable around me, and that's because we've been together since college, admittedly not out until just a few years ago. Her friends would ask her to go out and pressure a little bit, and she'd end up going even though she doesn't want to. Everyone says I'm much more intimidating than my wife, and her friends also know this. I wouldn't know. Maybe it's because I have to be extra serious at work. Anyway, recently my wife started saying things like, "I can't come, we have to go somewhere," or "We have a thing at home tonight. Evelyn, me, would be very upset if I wasn't home," or "Evelyn's had a long day at work and I don't want to leave her alone." I told her maybe instead of these, she could just say she's not available that day and not use me as an excuse. Her friends and family already don't like my seriousness, and by these comments, they may get the idea that I'm a controlling monster of some sort. I just said that she doesn't have to explain everything in detail to anyone, and just a simple "I won't be available" is enough. She got upset and said this worked best for her because her friends wouldn't argue with her when I was mentioned. Is it really not a big deal, or am I the bonehead for this? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. She's using you as an excuse for not being able to set boundaries with strangers and acquaintances, but in doing so creates stress in a relationship that's truly important to her. Not the bonehead. Her comment says it all. Her friends wouldn't argue with her when OP was mentioned, so she's casting OP as the boogeyman. Of course, this will leave a negative impression on people. Also, she needs to learn to own her refusals. Not the bonehead, but it's sure not nice to make OP the baddie when she doesn't want to do stuff. Tell her to grow a backbone and use her own self as an excuse to not do stuff and leave you out of it. Not the bonehead. This is just a great way to ensure your assimilation into the family and friends is delayed even more. She needs to be hyping you up, not using you to avoid accountability for her own preferences. I hardly ever go see my family, as frankly, they think they're funny when they're just being rude. Of course, I, 25 male, am always seen as being sensitive or starting fights because I was never the right kind of son for them. My two older sisters, who I will call Amy, female 29, and Britt, female 32, are exactly the kind of kids my parents wanted. Married before they were out of high school, baby on the way before the year was out, church every Sunday, whatever. I, on the other hand, am aromantic and asexual, an atheist and a heathen to them because of my job, which I prefer not to talk about here as it's rather revealing. Like I said before, I don't go to family gatherings often because of how funny everyone is. But recently was my mother's birthday and I was guilted into going by my dad because, in his words, "We always tried our best to understand you and you won't meet us halfway," and that she really missed me. Which all felt manipulative to me, but whatever. I went, brought a gift, some glass figurines from a collection she loves, and braced for the worst. Surprisingly, everything went well at first. There were jokes thrown out, but nothing that really bothered me, so it was fine. Then Britt said something like, "Well, I'll ask the question if everyone else is too scared to. How's dating going, OP?" and laughed. I didn't want things to devolve, so I just smiled and said something like, "Good as ever. How's your husband doing?" But she didn't drop it and laughed again, offering to set me up with a girl from church, saying maybe she could screw my head on right. At which point I got very angry and asked to change the subject. My other sister asked if I really wasn't worried about being alone and said that she just wanted someone to be there to take care of me. I told her I could take care of myself. I really wanted to change the subject. My father butted in that everyone should calm down because he knows I'm just looking for the right woman to make an honest man out of me, and laughed along with everyone else at the table. Frankly, I felt humiliated and just wanted to get away from these people. So I stood up, made my way to the door, My mom following me the whole way, asking me to be considerate. We're just joking. And I was so angry I couldn't stop myself from saying, "This is why I never come over, you know? None of you can let me have one visit without being made fun of. You're worse than children," and left. Apparently, after I left, my mother cried for hours, and my sisters and dad have been blowing up my phone for ruining her birthday over a joke and demanding I apologize. I do feel bad about making her upset, but why am I the only one being called to apologize? Which is why I'm dragging my feet. If I'm the bonehead, I'll apologize and try to move past it, but I really don't understand how I'm the one in the wrong. Am I the bonehead? Now for some comments. Not the bonehead. It was a joke is the defense of people who want to be hurtful and rude but also want to play the victim when confronted on their behavior. That environment is toxic for you and you absolutely did the right thing by leaving. Not the bonehead, but some advice. Talk to your mom. Sounds like she wasn't in on the making fun. Explain to her how the family makes you feel. Maybe she'll actually understand. Maybe see if she'll go out to dinner or somewhere, just the two of you. Get her side of the story. Maybe she's upset with the sisters and dad, but you're only hearing it from the sisters and dad's side. It's worth knowing at least. Not the bonehead at all. Not the bonehead. What your family is doing is called bullying, emotional abuse, and gaslighting. They know you don't like the joking and they do it anyway. They're willingly hurting you for their own entertainment. They're cruel. Every single one of them needs to apologize to you. And you don't have to listen to any more guilt trips asking you to come back. If it was important enough to them, they would learn to respect your boundaries. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you liked this story, please consider subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.